Hey guys, welcome to another video from Overbite Gaming, and today I'm taking a look at Aliens Fireteam Elite. I don't know why they need an elite on the end there. Aliens Fireteam sounds better, but whatever. It's a horde-based shooter for up to 4 players, 3 players, to play cooperatively, or you can play with 1 or 2 players and you get AI counterparts who come in the form of androids. It's probably better to play with people, although I don't have any friends, so I play with the robots. I'm okay with this. So it's a very faithful recreation of, like, the Colonial Marines and Aliens. Certainly better than the actual game Colonial Marines, which wasn't very good. And basically, you have to go through a series of operations. I think there's 4 or 5 in the campaign, each split out into 3 chapters. And then there's horde mode as well. It is a little bit light in content, especially if you're playing, you know, through the campaign just to do the campaign. It takes you around sort of 10-ish hours to finish, but there is replayability because you have 4 classes, and now I've 5 classes, and now I have to try and remember the names of them. So you have the Rifleman, who is your standard stock marine. Think Corporal Hicks? Not Hicks. The other one. Michael Bean. Oh my god, I can't remember his name. No, Hicks, yes. Hudson is the one I was mistakenly thinking of. Yes, so Corporal Hicks, so he comes with a pulse rifle and a shotgun or a close quarter weapon, because you can swap them out for different weapons if you so desire. You have a Demolisher, which think Vasquez or Drake. So they come with a pulse rifle and a smart gun. And then you have a Technician who comes with a large caliber pistol, a close quarters weapon, I think a submachine gun in his case. And also, I haven't actually unlocked Recon, I don't think so. I can't tell you about Recon. And you have a Medic who comes with, I think, close quarters weapon. I don't know, I've only really played Demolisher and Technician so far. But it's... Although there's not a whole amount of campaigns, there's a lot of replayability to it, because obviously you'll level up your various classes. You'll also level up your overall profile by doing the missions and earning experience. You'll also level up your weapons. So it kind of makes a good deal of sense to kind of stick with what you're leveling up. Although you can buy a multitude of weapons, from sniper rifles, just single shot rifles, incinerators are in there, different types of handgun, different types of assault rifle. There's burst variants rather than full auto, stuff like that. There's a lot of different weapons. There's a lot of attachments for weapons which alter the properties of the gun, so it can be more stable, or it can do more damage to weak points, or have better range, things of that nature. There's also a lot of cosmetics in the game, so you can have different armors, different decals on your armors, emojis, hats, all that kind of stuff. So you can look fairly unique amongst your mates as a different marine. The story itself isn't particularly interesting. It is literally go here, rescue this person, get them out, and like, okay, so there's escort missions, which no one likes escort missions, guys. Let's just have them be extracted and try and get ourselves out. Maybe. That's probably a better idea. Graphically, it looks very nice. It does a great job at replicating sort of the internals that we've seen in the Alien movies and associated media. It does pull some assets, I think, from Alien Isolations, like the Servitor androids are in there. What, they get the Happy Joes? Something like that. I was never a fan of Isolation. I suck at stealth games. They're in there, and they've got the same voices and things like that. Generally speaking, they don't attack you this time around, but you can shoot them if you want. And there are a good variety of aliens. Now, I'm always like a little bit... When you've got something as classic as the Alien, or say the Predator, I hate it when they do like variants, generally speaking. Unless there's a really good reason. Like the Alien Queen is acceptable to me because that makes sense. But like when you get the Predator and they're just like, oh, we'll do these black Predator jobs that are bigger and tougher, and they're going to kill regular Predator just to prove how big and tough they are. I'm like, well, the Predator's plenty tough, pal. Leave it alone. Doesn't need that. Go away. But there are a lot of varieties of Xenomorph in the game. Amongst them, I'll just name a few because I don't want to spoil anything that you might wish to experience yourself. So you have the standard fodder aliens who are reminiscent of the runner alien from Alien 3. There's actually an in-storyline explanation as to why there's so many of that particular type. But you also have drones and warrior aliens who are substantially tougher and more upright, so presumably these are the ones that were birthed from humanoids. We also have a burster alien who is an explodey one, so it doesn't explode by itself, but when you shoot it, it explodes and acid blood goes everywhere. A spitter alien and a prowler alien, which are bastards because they'll just hide behind a corner. And you'll get a audible cue because your character will be like, "Do you hear that? Oh, there's a prowler around here somewhere." So you're inching around a corner and he gets you from the other side instead. At which point he pins you down and starts wailing on you, and you have like a quick time event to try and get him off you if your team don't do it. So there's quite a lot of different types of aliens that make you various strategies. There are pickups, so you get like the sentry guns seen in the director's cut of Aliens. One of the classes, the engineer class, has that as a class ability as well, so you can put one down from your inventory and then you can put another one down as your class ability and double your firepower in those situations, which is nice. You have things like the Demolisher has a sort of shoulder mounted rocket launcher which puts out 3 missiles. They don't do a massive amount of damage, but they're pretty good for clearing areas. They'll take out the little guys easy and knock health off of the bigger fellas. And a grenade for the Rifleman. The medic class has a healing, it's like a healing totem kind of thing, but you need to fill it up, and it doesn't fill very fast, so it's I'm not sure about the effectiveness of the particular class ability for that guy. As I say, I've never even seen Recon, so it is the core gameplay loop is actually really fun. I'm having a lot of fun with it. I've actually ground some missions, grinded some missions. I want to say ground because that's, you know, from a language standpoint that makes much better sense. But I've actually done like the first mission probably about 10 times with different classes because, you know, it's a fairly simple mission, and if I'm not really sure what I'm doing with the class, then I kind of want a simple mission. And there are some, you get some like daily events and some weekly events. So it might be like get 300 kills with a pulse rifle and you'll get some extra stuff. Or you get a weekly event like complete 3 missions with the engineer, I think is the current one, and I've done 2 so far. And you'll get some stuff, and that could be decals or in-game currency. There are 2 types of in-game currency. One is used in the weapon store for buying guns and attachments. The other one is used in the cosmetic store for the armors, helmets, emojis, decals, stuff like that. The gameplay does feel very much like Left 4 Dead for me, except acidic blood, which is a pain in the ass. It's very fun. It does a really good job of making you feel like a badass when you're taking down these alien swarms with your pulse rifle or the smart gun. It has the lock-on feature that you come to expect, even though they don't really have the eye bit, because like that was what locked on. So I'm kind of confused why they didn't have that. Maybe there's a cosmetic that I haven't unlocked yet or seen that would replicate that. Perhaps, but it is kind of like why the smart gun works, the eyepiece, so I'm kind of confused. But yeah, I mean, if you like shooting aliens in a game that's just about shooting aliens, you're going to have fun. It is a fun experience, and it's only 35 quid. I mean, 35 quid nowadays, that's like half price on a PS5 game. I haven't checked what the PS5 version is. I imagine there's one. But I imagine it's slightly more expensive than the PC version, even if we don't have the PS5 Premium on it, because we have the Sony Premium on it, and I imagine we'd have the Microsoft Premium on Xbox as well, which we all know about and hate from both of them, but that's where they do their business, so I can't really complain that much. I just humph at looking at where my money went all the time. So it's a great game. There are boss fights as well. You'll also have... You won't be able to stand still, because in a lot of games, once you clear out an area, that's it. Not so in this. They'll continue to send the small guys in, so you can't just be like, oh, oof, that was a bit intense. I'll sip my drink and check my phone and stuff like that. And then, no, you're getting attacked. Because they'll release like little groups of like 3 or 4 of the little sort of minion aliens, and they'll just hassle you until you move on. There are boss fights. Some are interesting. There's the earliest one, which I will spoil for you because it's an early one, is with a genetically sort of tampered with warrior called Monica, who is named after the woman that birthed this particular xenomorph, which is a bit...
Accessing. Thank you.
It's a bit rubbish, isn't it? I mean, it's like, you know, getting killed by a disease and then having this disease named after you. It's kind of like, yeah, I don't want that named after me, thank you. I kind of don't like it because it killed me. But yes, you get the point. And she's a white alien, I think, with a white stripe. You don't see her very much because she only comes out when you're in the middle of dealing with like a horde. And there are several sections which sort of deal with hordes, because you'll go into an area and you'll have to turn something on and it's going to make noise and attract them, for instance. Or you'll get a heads up over the mic saying, oh, you've got a horde coming, blah, blah, blah. So you have like a short amount of time in that situation to like lay down defenses and sort of dig yourself in. Or, you know, you can do that before turning the appropriate valve or pressing the appropriate button that makes the noise, that activates an elevator or opens a door or whatever. Some of the doors are locked and you cut through with your handy dandy welder, which apparently all Marines have. Which I don't think all Marines had it in the movies, but whatever. I'm not gonna like lay it on thick for that, because I don't really care. It's handy. I don't really want to have the one guy with a welder being like at the back of an alien swarm dead, you know? So I'm happy with everybody having one. It's a very good game. I'm enjoying it a lot. I think there are problems with it. The AI isn't the best that I've seen. It's spotty, I think is the best way to put it, because I'm playing with AI teammates. It's more noticeable. There are times when like a little pack of 3 aliens would like run up behind us and start attacking, and I'll turn around and they just stood there while they're having their bottoms eaten, and they won't actually react until I fire at them, and then they'll turn around and go, oh, aliens, and start shooting them. Other times they really save my ass. Like I've had an alien come charging at me and it just like evaporates in midair because one of my boys has shot it. I'm just like, nice one, pal. I like you. There's also like a ship which is like your hub area between missions. This is where you can do stuff like buying new attachments and weapons and going around. You'll find stuff in game like lore items, which will come back and there'll be a conversation you can have with other members of the crew. Fill that in. You have like a commissar. I can't remember what it stands for. It's not like a commissar, but it's an acronym that's commissar. So there you go. You have your weapons, your quartermaster, the weapons guy, your commanding officer, stuff like that. Your pilot that takes you down in the dropship to all these various bits and bobs. But none of them, I mean, you have like face-to-face conversations, but none of them have animated mouths, so they just sort of are on the side of the screen, just looking at you quizzically while a voiceover goes. And you can ask questions. You don't need to. It's basically just a method of getting you more lore and what's going on in the situation. There is like kind of a storyline for each bit. So you can dig as much as you want, or you can just get back in there and shoot bugs. I would highly recommend probably sticking to one class as much as you can, at least initially, because the benefits of upgrading the class are legion. There's a lot to upgrade. Outside of your weapons, you've also got perks that you can slot in. You get like a little grid where you have to slot things in. I think like was it Path of Exile that did that? Where you had like the different size things that you had to like arrange. Something like that. I think it was an action RPG of some description. So, and then as you progress through levels of your class, that will take blocks out, so you have more room on the grid to put stuff down. Like currently I've got 2, well, when I did the capture I had 2 in, and there's like this one that I've got, but I can't fit it anywhere even if I took them out, and so I need to like clear those out, and then you can put it in, and you just do that by leveling up. So there's a lot to get your teeth into. It reminds me, in some ways it reminds me of Predator Hunting Grounds, and the fact you can customize your characters and you get experience for like the weapons, and also because it's, you know, it's based on a shit hot 80s property that has been ruined to fuck nowadays, like everything. It's like, stop doing like new entries in old series and just make new series, and then I won't have to be disappointed when it's terrible. Thank you.
See if you can pull any logs.
There's a lot to like about the game. As I said, the AI can be a bit spotty. Some of the aliens aren't the brightest. I have seen a few people call out, "Oh, he's just sat behind a barrel, dickhead. What's he doing?" Well, that's a prowler. He's supposed to sit behind the barrel. You're not supposed to notice him, is the thing. You've just been observant and noticed him, so you get the draw on him basically. Whereas, like, I've never really seen just like regular aliens do that. At least they will like kind of run into your fire, but I mean, they're animals, man. You know, of course they're going to do that. Especially the cannon fodder ones. Like the spitters are a bit more imaginative. They'll actually take cover and then pop up and spit at you. You can take cover yourself, but I've never really found a reason to do it. I think it's far better to be mobile. Because, I mean, okay, you can like take cover from the spitter, but like you hardly ever just get a spitter. It's nearly always accompanied by a horde, and you don't want to be crouched behind cover when there's a horde coming at you. You want to be able to move around and jump out the way of things. Because there is a dodge, which comes in very handy for the bigger aliens that kind of run at you and try and grab you up, and you can just roll out of the way of them. So if you time that right, it sort of works quite nicely, because they are quite damaging once they grab you. And then all three of you, sort of, both your mates are like training the fire on the big guy, and the little ones are just running around tearing everybody to pieces instead. So it does get a bit hectic sometimes. It does get a little bit overwhelming, but generally speaking, during the horde situations, if you plan for it, and you can lay mines and put out your sentry guns and all this jazz and use your class abilities, it is manageable. The developers themselves don't recommend taking AI partners on anything above like normal difficulty, because they won't be competent enough, which is fair. I mean, I'm not competent enough to go above normal difficulty, so I can completely understand what they're coming with. So Aliens Fireteam Elite, it's relatively mid-price, so it's you know, 35 is not too bad. There's enough game there for me to not be like I feel ripped off. Certainly when you can go back through with a different class and work on that class, and there's so much to do in terms of like character progression and weapon progression that it's just a shame there's not a longer campaign to do it in, rather than having to redo the same missions. Now, saying that, the caveat is you do learn the missions pretty well, and then you can obviously work out, oh, there's a prowler there. The best way to set up for this horde encounter is to put sentry guns here, and you know, you learn it. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. You get better at it because you're doing it via repetition, but hey, everybody likes new stuff. There is like different areas you go in. I mean, you start off on a orbiting refinery, and then the next one you're down on a planet. But I think it's like supposed to be an engineer planet. So there is a fair bit of different stuff, and it all looks, you know, in tune with the Alien visuals that we've seen before. I wasn't sure when I picked it up if I was going to actually like it and play it for any sustained amount of time. But I have, and you know, I'm quite eager to play more of it. It has the core gameplay is fun enough to keep me interested, even without a really good narrative, which is generally what keeps me interested in games. But also the progression of like leveling up your weapons kind of got me a little bit as well. I'm kind of like, yeah, I want the boss gun that just blows things up easy. But they do level up pretty slowly, so you will be playing for a while to like max level one class and his 2 weapons of choice, let alone like all of the classes. That's insane. So there's a lot to be getting on with in it, but as I said, I would have liked a bit few more missions in the campaign, and the AI is a bit twitchy now and again. It's probably less of a problem if you play with other peeps, though, because most of the AI failures I've seen are in my robot buddies who will try and shoot aliens through walls and ignore them sometimes. But equally, you know, they've saved my ass, as they say, so... It's spotty, and it doesn't really bring down my enjoyment of the game. It's just something that you sort of learn to take into account. Anyway, guys, that's my opinion on Aliens Fireteam Elite. I still don't know why they need the Elite. Fireteam would have been fine. But yeah, it's by Cold Iron Studios. It's £35 on Steam currently, and it is sat at a very positive, which is nice to see. Actually, something from the Aliens universe that isn't shit. Like the last few games and last few movies, and probably the TV show that's coming up. But oh well, we can't have nice things. They must be ruined by, oh, society, really, isn't it? I blame society. They're catering to current generation who have terrible taste. I'm so old. Anyway, take it easy. I'll catch you next week.